am I worried about the Kansas City Chiefs? Can we wait till next week before I answer that question? No, in all seriousness, I feel better about them than I did despite the loss. I will get into that. First, I want to say thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I am back from vacation. I was traveling internationally with my wife and some friends, so I didn't want to pack up all my gear and try to travel it to multiple countries. That would have been a pain in the ass, so I just shot like one video on my phone while I was there. But I'm back. Videos, constant, all week long, all through the NFL season. For the 6 or 7 of you that watch regularly, that's the reason, and I'm back. So, let's jump into it. The Chiefs lost to the Jaguars in a close game, 31-28, after Trevor Lawrence scored on that, trip walk-off touchdown, and Mahomes didn't have enough time or ability to score at the end and try to win the game. The Chiefs fall to 2-3. They've got a date with Detroit coming up. They haven't looked like the class of the AFC like they usually do, and I've seen people talk about it. Is it time to panic? Are we worrying? This is a conversation that seems to constantly come up with the Chiefs. I do think it's more interesting this week because this is the best the Chiefs offense has looked in quite some time. I mean, probably since the Super Bowl run they went on where they beat the Eagles that time. So the offense seems to be firing. Obviously, adding Xavier Worthy back into the picture made a big difference. He's clearly been a focal point in the offense, and just him being there opens so many other options up. It opens the middle of the field. The offense looks great. Patrick Mahomes looks great. Other than the pick 6, which was a big mistake. It happens. I'm not going to kill him for it. I'm not worried about the Chiefs because I was worried about the offense. I mean, I was always kind of fair about it because I knew when we got Worthy and Rice back, it would look better. It looks a lot better, and we still have yet to see what this offense will look like once Rice is in the picture. So I feel good about Kansas City the way they're playing. They have some issues defensively. The defensive line is not great. They can't seem to get pressure unless they blitz, and when they do, they're not really consistent with their rush lanes to stop the quarterback from scrambling. We've seen that bite them a couple times. Defensive line is a big issue, as we knew it would be going into this year. It's kind of Chris Jones and everybody else. Sometimes Karlaftis, pops, and I know Chris Jones has that awful tape in the Jaguars game, but he was dominant on that final drive up until that moment. Not excusing it. The Chiefs lost the Jacksonville Jaguars game because they just kept making a ton of mistakes and a ton of mental errors that you usually don't see this team make. I mean, would they have 12 penalties or something? Let me look. 13 penalties for 109 yards. Jacksonville had 4. So many of those on special teams, the back-to-back special teams, kickoff penalties against Cochran. Harrison Butker kicking it out of bounds to put the Jags on the 40 for their game-winning drive. So many mistakes that are not common for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the team that never beats themselves. They always, play clean, play to the end, outcoach you, and just hang on and beat you at the end. The Chiefs played fantastic. I mean, they outgained the Jaguars. They were more dominant all night, but you had the pick 6 that, was devastating. And at the end, they just couldn't get Jacksonville off the field on that drive. The mistakes added up. It felt like Jacksonville was trying to find every way to lose that game, but on that final drive, Lawrence hit that beautiful pass to Thomas Jr. There was another pass on that drive that was really great, I think, to the left sideline to De'Ami Brown. So I don't know if the Chiefs are a legitimate, Super Bowl threat. Do they look like a real dominant contending team that could go run through the playoffs and beat a bunch of guys? Not necessarily. But then I would counter, what teams look like that to you? Because I just don't see a lot of dominant teams right now. And that's one of the conversations that's starting to happen is this is a year so far where the parity, overused term, media loves parity. It does seem to be true. I do think it's still early in the season. As we get into weeks 9, 10, 11, I believe you will start to see a handful of teams start to separate themselves and elevate above the competition. That begs the question, is Kansas City one of those teams that we're going to look at in week 10 or 11 and say, hey, they figured it out, they've gotten Rice back, they've cleaned things up, they're one of the teams you have to watch out for? That is possible. I could absolutely see it happening, especially with the way the offense is playing right now, and I assume the offense is only going to get better. It is also possible that this is a team that just ultimately makes mistakes and can't win these close games like they did last year, and they end up with 9 or 10 wins and don't make the playoffs. That could happen just because they're in this spot and they've got a tough schedule. Okay, not fair, but that's what happens. You get a tough schedule when you win. They lost to the Chargers and the Eagles. They beat the Giants and Ravens. They lost to the Jaguars. Coming up, you have the Lions, the Raiders, the Commanders. You need to win 2 of those next 3, which they should, but you need to. Really, it would help if you could beat Detroit just for like morale. Then you got the Bills and at the Broncos, Colts at home, which is no cakewalk, at the Cowboys, Texans, Chargers, at Titans, Broncos, at Raiders. It's not going to be an easy stretch, and they have no room for error. They don't usually lose those type of games that they lost to Jacksonville. They gave that game away. I'm tempted to believe, it's a one-off, and I think they'll be okay because from the moment we saw the offense kick into gear, which was really the second half of that Giants game, the offense has just been magnificent. They put it on the Ravens. And I know now everyone's going to act like the Ravens are just god-awful, which, they are. I'm not saying the Ravens are amazing, but Lamar is out now. Going into that game, every single person was talking about the Ravens and how they put it on the Bills and should have won that game, blah, 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 blah. But when the Chiefs beat them, they get no credit. They do get credit for that, in my opinion. And then in the Jacksonville game, they're up. They let the Jags come back. The Mahomes pick 6, things that usually don't happen, the penalties, things that are uncharacteristic of Kansas City. I'm going to be optimistic and say I do not believe those things continue to happen. If they do, then yeah, this is a team that's going to struggle to squeeze into the playoffs. If they don't repeat those mistakes, if Kansas City can just play clean, I think they will be fine and they will be a contender. And the AFC is wide open. And if you're the Chiefs, all you need is to get into the playoffs. If you get into the playoffs, you trust that 15 will make some magic happen. That's just the way it is. Whether that is true or not, that's kind of the way Chiefs fans, and I'm sure people in the organization, and I'm sure even Mahomes himself, I'm sure he feels that as well. Let's just put our nose down, work, make the playoffs. Even we got to go on the road, and we're going to be okay. They're not out of the division race by any means. They've still got to play the Broncos twice, the Chargers. Offensive line is a wreck because of injuries. They look worse. I think the Chiefs could absolutely still win their division. So everything's ahead of them, but you got to start putting some W's on the board. I understand the schedule's tough. I hate it for you. That's what happens. You got to get over that. If they lose to the Lions, they're going to be 2-4. Hard to dig out of that. It is possible. I do not think the Lions game is a must win, but it would be huge for morale if they could knock off what seems to be the best team in the NFL right now. Either way, you got to win 2 of the next 3, preferably this next one coming up. Let's watch and see how it shakes out. I believe in them, but they have no margin for error.